So let's go ahead and move to the spreadsheet, and we'll pull up the problem and let's see what you can remember from last week that you've forgotten. So we're going to do a frequency table, or a frequency distribution, a frequency table, and we're going to do, I don't know, average age. And we'll do 10 to 19. Well, I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to set it up this way because in a spreadsheet you have to set it up this way. By hand you don't. 20 to 29. Oops. I'm not in second gear yet. 30 to 39. 40 to 49. I told you. And 50 to 59. And I know I probably used this last week with y'all, but I really don't care. And this is your lower class limit, and this is your what? Upper class limit. And this is going to be your F. F is a 25-cent word for frequency, which is a 25-cent word for head count. Thank you. You listened. I'm impressed. How many people have ever had their teacher Skype into the classroom? That's pretty cool, wasn't it? It could have been a whole lot cooler if IT had supported us. Then you wouldn't have a $5.95 webcam and a $30 document cam that I brought from home. So anyway, but well, maybe 2025, Tri-County Tech will have those things. Let's go with 5, 10, 20, 15, and 6. Okay, so the two formulas that we're going to use that we care about, I hope this works, because last time it didn't. Oh yeah, we could go with peanut OIL. So the mu, or the X bar, or the average, or whatever you want to call it, is going to be equal to the summation of F times X. And make sure over the summation of F, which is N, make sure you put that multiplication symbol there, because some of you that's had algebra might think that's what? F of X. So make sure you put that F times X. That's the biggest mistake that students make. They come out of algebra, and when they see that Fx, they think of F of X. And that's not a function. It's F, your head count, times what? Your midpoint. So let's go back over here. So let me write the other one down so you can remember it, because of course, I put it in your notes, but you don't use your notes. So anyway, variance is equal to, oh my God, that's that big, yeah, it's that big one. All right. What is it? The summation of N times, let's start over. N times the summation of what? F times what? X squared minus the summation of F times X quantity what? Make sure I wrote that down right, because sometimes I interchange them. Of course it is. And that's over N times N minus 1. Now, the only thing I want you to make sure you do here is make sure you put a multiplication symbol here and put this in what? Brackets, because sometimes students like to just do it straight across, and your calculator can't discern order of operations very well, even though y'all think it can, create a cure for cancer, but it can't. So make sure you do that. And then, of course, what's the variance? What's the standard deviation? Yeah, so if you get the variance, all you gotta do is take square root of it. All right, so look over here. We have F. F is the only thing that we have. So you've got to find all those other things. So you've got to do your columns. So give y'all a few minutes to do that. So make your first column. What's your first column going to be? Midpoint. X, which is your midpoint. Somebody tell me what your class width is. 10. So go ahead and write that out. CW is equal to 10. You're going to add 10 to your first midpoint. That way you don't have to calculate each one. Well, I would carry it to 4 at least. Some of you lazy people might want to take it to 3, but 4 or 5 is good insurance. And I take it out to each one. And then at the very end, you probably going to round to the 100th or the 10th. I very seldom see a homework or test question that says round to the 10,000. And if you can't get started, just write it up as what? Disappointment. Being a total what? Loser. And maybe finding employment at local fast food. Not to mention quitting school. Because if a degree was easy, everybody'd have one. And if math was easy, everybody'd have a degree, and we'd have bridges falling down.
You have a work email.
No, that's my department head. Somebody's already told them I didn't start class on time. See what I've done now. And I haven't forgot about your questions. I just want to get through some of the material before we go to questions, and I always cover questions right before the test anyway. And I always give y'all a couple of days into the test to finish your homework. So it all works out. Yeah, I think the only game that was worth watching was LSU and Auburn. I don't think there was any other games worth watching.
The first quarter,
Priority 1 message coming in on secure channel.
Seriously? Really? Wow. Okay. I got these yesterday. Yeah. Okay. It's fine. We're fine. It's not fine. I got them yesterday. I got these $50. It's fine.
$50 is not in this problem, so that means you're gaffing me off and you're not doing the work, so get out. So I was staying in Hilton in Asheville, and I'm looking at all these damn dogs. Okay, I didn't know Asheville was foo-foo, but it is. It's foo-foo, very foo-foo. I mean, you walk in and there's Picasso's and all this art hanging around, and I'm like, oh my God. Anyway, I asked the lady, I said, are y'all pet free? She said, yeah. I said, but why are all these dogs? And I forgot. All the people were running away from the awful hurricane. Just let one of them bite me. I told her, I said, if one of them bites me, I'm going to sue the hotel and I'm going to sue the people. I hate dogs. I
hate it.
How are you?
Dog management.
Why? Is it a requirement to be a man to like dogs?
No, it's just like I didn't.
Are you stereotyping me? I'm offended.
He says he's his best friend. But,
No, not my best friend. Now my mama, she's got like 4 dogs, and they travel around in the truck with her. And if you come near that truck in an aggressive way, they will eat you up. I don't go around them dogs.
Why don't you like cats?
They bark. They jump on you. And everybody says, "Oh, well, you gotta train them." No, I ain't gotta train no cat to do anything.
you like cats more than dogs?
Cat goes to the litter box. I didn't train it. Cats, what do? They sit around, they lay around, they eat, and they clean themselves. Excuse me? You can train them.
I didn't say you could train them.
No, that's what everybody always says when I say that dogs are nasty. They lick on you, they slobber, they bark, they jump on you. Oh, you can train them. No, I ain't got to train them. If they're born stupid like that, then I don't need to fool with them. I don't shoot dogs, okay? Now, if they're running my cows, I love shooting them. But if they are legitimate dogs, now there is one dog I would love to have, and that's Fred on Smokey and the Bandit. Barks one time a year. If a dog don't bark, remove his vocal cords, I'm fine with it. He can stay in my house as long as he wants, as long as he can use the litter box.
My dog uses me.
Well, you probably got one of them Shih Tzus or something.
That's actually exactly what I have.
No, the thing is, they're literally just like cats. Like, I have one, and she literally moves like a cat.
Yeah, Millie has her little pee-pee pad.
If you like dogs, you're part Russian. Yeah.
Okay. Because my dog would get swooped up by an eagle and eaten.
So you don't like sleep?
That's actually happened in our neighborhood.
I actually like to watch the police dogs on live PD. I like more. I like to watch him. I like to watch all the police dogs. I do think dogs are good for some other people. Yes. They're kind of like kids. You know, I love to have kids around me, but I don't like to have them. Period. You know, that type of attitude. Okay. I better shut up because somebody will complain. So, X is our midpoint. Just think of all the fun we could have if that rule wasn't true. You know, always one. We can have a lot of fun in here. X, midpoint. What's 10 plus 19? 29. What's half of 29? And then we got 14.5. Then we got 24.5. Then we got 34.5. Then we got 44.5. And then we got 54.5. Now, while you're at it, what's the second thing you should get? It's real easy to get. N. Well, wait a minute. Hold on. Let's erase this right here and put summation of F or what? What's N? The most popular variable in statistics. N. All right. You can change. Now, that's real easy, and that's what you were saying, whoever said it. Add up all of your what? F's, and that will give you your N. How many people are in the class? So take your handy dandy summation. Well, put it right here first. And summation. And you need to write down N. And N is equal to 56. So there are 56 people in the class. And the ages range from 10 to 59. Okay, you can say class or meeting or whatever you want. It doesn't have to be class. Now, I'm going to put these in here. I'm going to erase this. Okay, I heard that. That's a yawn. Got to quit that. You're offending me. X, and I'm just going to I'm going to do this plus this. Oh, I got to put parentheses because if you don't. Divided by what? Divided by 2. And then I'm going to take equals this plus what? Plus 10 and put F4, Foxtrot 4. Well, it didn't do it. Why didn't it do it? Okay, because I put 10.
I don't need to do it. And now, let's look over here. Let's take my handy dandy highlighter. And I'm going to highlight in green everything we have so far. Everybody with me? For those that are talking while I'm talking. All right, I got F right there. I've got F right here. I've got N. I've got N. I've got F. I've got F. I've got X. Got X right there, sorry. And I got N and I got N. So the only thing I need now is X squared. So go ahead and do that if you hadn't done it yet. X squared. And we're going to take equals this guy raised to the second power. And check your numbers. Make sure your first, middle, and last is the same as mine. Or if you're just saving space, do the first, middle, and last. And make sure you put up here X squared so you'll know what you're doing. And now I've got, take my handy dandy highlighter, and I have X squared. So now I've got all I need. So I'm going to make, and you can skip a space if you want to. I'm going to need F times X, F times X, and I'm going to need F times what? There you go. So do those right quick if you haven't yet. And this is the same no matter what type of binomial distribution you have. Frequency distribution you have. No matter if you have 5 classes or if you have 15 classes. Now, of course, if you have 15 classes, what's the best thing to use? If you can. I don't even know how to do it on a calculator. But if the calculator can do it, knock yourself out. But if I don't have a calculator or if I don't know how to do it, what am I going to use? I'm going to use the Excel spreadsheet. I'm not going to do it by hand. And let me tell you, there's 3 things I think every high school student should start to do their junior year. 1, start taking all the psychologies you can. Even though I'm a math science person, take every psychology that's offered. 2, take all Spanishes that's offered. 3, learn how to use Excel. Those are the 3 things. And make sure you take civics, some kind of civics or government course, and make sure you take some kind of business course so you know how to do your dang income taxes, know how much the government's taking from your paycheck. Because they're not going to teach you that in high school because the government don't want you to know that. Sorry, I take meds. So if you do invent the widget, or you do invent the next greatest thing, red, white, and blue sneakers like Adidas has, which I'm going to get me some, I'm going to get my son some too, then you can give 40 to 50% of your paycheck, your money, to the government. Actually, it's more than 40% because they get more. They get more from other places too. And everybody's hollering socialism, socialism. Well, guess what happens when we have a socialistic society? Guess what happens to that 40%? It goes straight up. And so does it from the blue-collar worker too. Because nothing is what? Nothing is free. Nothing. Free health care. Free tuition. Nothing's free. How many of you work at a grocery store or a retail store? Okay. I tell you about my son buying wasp spray?
Buying what?
Wasp spray. Okay, we had to go buy some wasp spray because our pigs are fixing to have piglets, and we don't want them to get stung by wasps. So we go to the barn and we spray the wasps to kill them, and I love to kill wasps. I can't stand wasps. Anyway, we go to White Jones out here on 24, and they have this big old end cap for those. I've worked at Walmart. End cap. Got this end cap. Buy one, get one free. And I'm looking at the prices down in the aisle of the other, and my son says, "Daddy, you get one free here." I said, "No, you don't." Because what did they do to the first can? They double the price. I said, let's do an experiment. I said, you take this can, they take 2 cans up there, okay? And you just find out how much one of those are, and then take this can up there and see how much it is. Red can and a black can. The red can's not buy one, get one free. Okay. So he goes up there and gives price check. And he says, gives that, and then he comes back with this defeated look on my face. How much was the black can? $4. I said, I bet you the red can was $2. How'd you know? I said, because they always double the price. It's just like the car salesman and the jewelry salesman. The jewelry salesman and the car salesman, they love you. They want to be your friend. I like you. I'll give you 50% off this car or 50% off this ring. Well, what did they do before they put it in the case? They marked it up 200%. So they're still making probably 150% profit. Nothing is what? Nothing's free. But don't they, okay, now let me ask you if I'm right. Where'd you work in retail when you said you worked in retail?
Eagles.
Did they do that?
Retail?
Yeah.
I used to work at Old Navy.
Oh, Navy. Am I right?
I'm not sure about Old Navy, but like they might do that at Eagles.
They double the price because, let me ask you this. In capitalism, in the banking industry, and in Las Vegas, are they interested in giving you money?
No.
What are they interested in?
Getting your money.
Making money. That's what makes the world go round. The world does not go around eating zebras and eating zoo food in Venezuela. And the last time I checked, how old is the United States? How old is the United States? 1770 what? 6. We haven't eaten any zoo food in a long time. Y'all have no idea what I'm talking about, do you? Google Venezuela and zebras, eating zebras, okay? They eat the zoo animals because why? I just can't. How old are you?
17.
I don't understand. You actually watch the news. Wow. Anyway, they break into the zoos. They broke into the zoos. There's no zoos in down there anymore. Because the bus driver who became president of Venezuela, he's not a president, he's a dictator. He scoops up all the money. So people don't have toilet paper, they don't have food, they eat their pets, and they broke into the zoos and killed the zebras and ate the zebras.
Why zebras?
What kind of form of government is that down there?
Dictatorship.
It's socialism, basically. All right. Y'all need to watch dadgum news. Oh, use the old expression. Oh, I don't want to know. It depresses me. Okay, stick your head in the what? In the sand. So equals this raised times this, and equals this times this. And what do you do after you do that? Control C, Control V, Control V.
Did you get 5,000?
Yeah.
Make sure
About the
F times X. Make sure I didn't mess up. I'm making sure right now. And F times X squared. Now, what am I checking? Make sure I didn't accidentally pick what? The wrong column, because sometimes you can do that. Now, what was your question?
We did F the column to the left of that, F times X, and squared that.
Well, I haven't done it yet. I'm going to. See, right now I've got F times X squared, and I've got F times X. What does it say over here? F times X squared. That's this column right here. And then F times X, what are we going to do with this big number right here? We're going to square it. So you remember me telling you that those were two different animals? Okay, remember me telling you that this was a different animal than this one? This is a horse and this is a zebra. Don't eat the zebra. Okay, you're not supposed to eat zebras. Because what is f times x? What is this? What is this right here? This is f times x what? Quantity squared. Now, if you wanted to square each of these and then add them, you could do that. All right? And you'll get the same answer if you do it correctly. All right? So that's the answer. You'll get the same answer you're going to get in a minute what I'm going to get. Okay? Just be patient. You'll see that number pop up in just a second. Now I'm going to do the variance or the mean. Let's do the mean. So here we go. Mean is equal to the summation of what? The summation of f times x. Oh, we didn't do f times. Yeah, we did. There it is. F times x. Boop. And we're going to divide by what? N. Ding. 35 point. So the average age of the people in my class is 36 years old. Even though I have no idea who's 36, who's 21. I don't know how many are 21. I don't know how many are 36. The average age is 36. Ain't that neat that you can tell what the average is even though you don't know their... That's neat. I always thought that was neat. But I'm a nerd. Okay? Redneck nerd. There's a difference between a nerd and a redneck nerd. All right, next. Variance. I'm refined and polished now. All right, here we go. We're going to take n. That's that number. And we're going to multiply that by what? Well, f times x squared. Summation of f times x squared. That's that number right there. We're going to multiply it by that number right there. And then we're going to minus what? This number raised to the what? Oops, I'm sorry. I messed up. Oh, I suck. Let's see there. And then raised to the what? Second power. And then I'm going to put that n times what? I want y'all to read, but that's okay. N minus 1, which is going to be this, minus 1. I'm plugging in all my numbers. So I'll go down here, variance equals this number times this number. And what's the relationship between this first number to this number? It's always got to be what? I saw that. That's a yawn. I saw that. It's always got to be a bigger number. Why? Because you can't take square root of what? No coughing either. It's got to be bigger because you can't take square root of what? A negative number. Yes, sir. What?
Do those 56s not cancel out, basically?
No, because 56 has got a minus there. They're married. You can't break them up.
Wait, okay, so the top one is 56 minus 7.
It's 56 times this, right here. N times the summation. That minus, these two are married. You can't copy. Now, if these two were multiplied, you could. Okay? All right. What was your other question? Somebody said something over there. What?
I know, you answered it.
Okay. All right. That's why it's so important that you read the formulas. If you don't read the formulas, you're going to go, well, what goes here? What? I don't understand. You got to read the formulas. Yes, ma'am.
I got the same for the mean because I did the f times f squared different than you, but I got the same. But I didn't get the same number for... Because,
just hold a second. It may pop up here in a minute. You should get the same number because you can do it however you want to. But it's easier if you do it this way. But that's fine. Let's see what happens. Minus... I'm going to put my minus here because I hadn't done math yet. This number raised to the what? And it should be smaller than the first number. If it's not, then you've done something what? Because the problem is not going to be designed to have a negative number. So if you get a bigger number here, you've done something what? Wrong. And then the bottom is going to be equal to this number times this number. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger for some of y'all. Dang old short bus. Make it a little bit bigger. There we go. Now this is where your number may show up, Miss Kathy, the next step. No, there it is. That number right there should be the number that you got. Check and see. Now, that variance is equal to this number minus this number over, whoa, I think I hit negative. Let me do that again. And again, I knew that because you're not supposed to have what? You're not supposed to have a negative. Over this number. And now you're ready to do your variance. Variance is equal to this number, I saw that, divided by this number. And there's your variance, which means absolutely nothing. Standard deviation is equal to that number raised to the what? 1/2 power, or 0.5 power. Raised to the 0.5 power. There is the number you want. Now I want everybody to draw a chart. No, not a chart. Draw a curve. Why? Because you've got your mean and you've got your what? Standard deviation. So add 3 to the right and subtract 3 to the left on your curve. Draw your curve because that's what I'm going to ask you to do. If I ask you to do it at all, I'm going to ask you to draw a curve and put the mean and standard deviation. And I'll try to make this smaller right quick for some of y'all that need to see the numbers. Let me make it a little bit smaller. And bring it down a little bit. There you go. There's the numbers in the formula. And then we'll draw the, well, I'm going to do it on the calculator because we got a lot of decimals. And I'm still going to round to, see, I'm rounding to what, 6 digits? I'm going to keep that like that until the very end. And then when I say, what is the standard deviation, or the homework or the test, and round to the hundredth, you would say 11.13. You always round when? At the end. You never round in the middle of statistics. Never. Anybody got a question on the numbers? Miss Kathy, did you figure yours out?
No. I got the mean, but there's something for the.
Yeah, I got the
Can you explain the variance formula again, how to break it down?
Okay, hold on just a second. What?
When I
He started before you did.
Sorry, I got the mean, but then when I did my variance, instead of 4389504, I got 4382504.
What'd you get? I think what y'all are doing, what you're doing is you're doing it differently. You're squaring it, and then you're adding it, and that's fine, but you got to be more careful when you do it that way. I think it would probably be easier for you to do f times x, then add it, then square it. Because evidently you're hitting something wrong or something, because multiplication and addition is what? Starts with a C, O, M, U. Commutative. Don't say commutative. I had a professor at Clemson. He would go, "Sir, are you sick?" This is his way of being funny. I said, "It's commutative." "Are you sick?" "No, sir." "Well, commutative is when somebody is sick and they spread it. It's commutative. Commutative." And he said the whole semester he would go commutative. I guess he was trying to teach the redneck student how to say commutative. Just like the one that made fun of me when I said divide. How do you spell that? D-E-E-E-V-I-D-E? Shut up, bastard. What? What was your question? Oh yeah, your question, then yours, Miss Kathy. Hold on.
Can you help break down the variance formula, maybe do steps of what you do first? Cause I'm confused.
Right here. This right here?
Yeah.
Okay, what is that?
The
N. Multiplied by the summation, and you might want to take your parentheses here and take blue parentheses here, okay? N times the summation of f times x squared. In other words, my column of f times x squared summed. Okay, so that's that number right there. Minus, what?
We got different numbers for the f times x squared.
Okay, let me go back up.
But using those different numbers, I still got the same for the mean.
Well, that's because you don't use f times x squared for the mean. You use f times x. Say for the mean, what is the mean? What is the mean right here? F times x. Is there anything that says f times x squared up here? That's why you're not. That's why you're getting the mean, because you're messing up this column right here. Okay, so to answer your question, where is f times x squared? Where is the column that says f times x squared? Where is it? It's right there. And I'm going to add it up.
How'd you get those?
How'd I get what?
That column.
F times x squared.
I did the column to the left of that get squared.
F times x. And then I added both of those up. And then you plug them in your formula. Now, these two questions that y'all are asking, guess what? They're very popular. All right? Those are the two most popular questions that are being asked. Where did you get this number? Where did you get that number? That's why it's so important for you to what? And I'm not making fun of y'all. You've got to read the what? You've got to read the formula. The formula tells you what to do. You write it down because you take the test at home. So if you use your notes at home, I'm not going to see it.
We take our test.
Say it one more time.
If you don't pass this class, you're retarded.
Will I have people fail this class?
Yes. Wait, what?
I have at least 5 people fail this class.
If you fail this class, you're retarded.
No, it's actually
Lazy.
lazy. Buttercups.
So, whenever you're doing the curves, is it always going to be like a regular bell?
Yeah, I just did that so you can. That's not the actual data. It's the number of things that you put. You would have to actually graph the data, and it's kind of hard to do with this. It's called a Pareto chart. Yeah, and I don't do that.
We're about to
The
close
only
up
thing,
shop on
the only thing you'd have to do, the pie chart is a relative frequency if you're asked to do it all. Relative frequency is when you would do the parental. I'll do that in just a second. Okay, remind me to do it. All right quick, y'all. If you read the formulas, and you do, and Miss Kathy, what's your last name? Mr. Cox. The reason I tell you to use this is because I've tried to teach it both ways, and it doesn't work the other way. It works better if you do it this way. You lay everything out. Okay, you don't need this. Okay, because you found the what? Go away. You found the midpoint. So once you find the midpoint, this you don't need. So throw that away. So now you're just dealing with F and what? These two right here is where you get everything for your formula. And you make the columns. X squared, you need that. This is need, and need. This is plug and what? Plug and chug. All right. This over here is what you need. So you need to get those 3 columns first. All right. You got the first column. This one's given. So you're going to have to calculate this one and this one before you even get started. Then you have to calculate this, which is N. And then you have to look at your formula and say, okay, what do I do? Well, N, 56,
times the summation of f times x squared, summation of f times x squared, that number, minus the summation of f times x, quantity what? Squared. Summation of f times x, quantity squared, over n times n minus 1. Now what are you doing here? Are you calculating? No, you're what? You're plugging and chugging. All right? You're plugging into the formula. And then after that, that's when you start calculating. If you try to start calculating it before, you're going to get messed up. All right, who's got other questions? Did that help? All right, now let's draw our handy-dandy do-jigger. So I'm going to erase this, and I'm just going to go over to the side. Now, there was 2 questions that were asked a while ago, and we're going to talk about that. All right? And I'm just going to go over here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the numbers right here. I'm going to do the chart right here. And I'm going to put equals, where's my mean? Right there. And then to the right, what am I going to do to the right? I'm going to add the standard deviation. I'm going to hit F4 to lock it. And I'm going to copy that over however many times I want to. And then over here, what do I do on the left? I subtract the standard deviation. F4. And then I take that to the left 2 or 3 times. All right, everybody with me? So now, my mean is the middle. There's 1 standard deviation. There's 2 standard deviations. And I know that between 13.5, which we're talking about ages, so that would be 15 or 14. Between 14 and 58 is considered what? Normal or normal, depending on how old you are. And that represents how much percentage? 95%, because you know your empirical rule, which is on page. What page was that on? Somebody look in your notes.
You have a work email.
See, department head, somebody's already called. What was the page number that I told you the empirical rules on? 399 or something? I thought we got a...
132.
I'm sorry.
132.
132-ish, somewhere in there. Okay? So what's outside? Well, this is 2.5%. This is called what? Unusual. And a 70-year-old would be considered what? An outlier. This over here, unusual. And a 3-year-old would be, or not, a 2-year-old would be an outlier. Okay, now some of it doesn't make sense because a 2-year-old would not be in a classroom or a meeting or whatever the case may be, a workshop or a conference or whatever, if you're taking the average age. All right? But that's how you do that. Now, that's what it should be. Okay, that's what you were asking about the curve. That's what it should be. But like you said, you get to something that says 2 years old. What? 2-year-old can't even drive. How are they going to get? Well, we have had 14-year-olds. I've had a 14-year-old in one of my calculus classes. Okay? Very seldom, but that will be an outlier. Your 6-foot 3rd grader is an outlier. Your Michael Jordans, outliers. Okay? That's what distinguishes them from the rest of the what? The crowd. Or in Michael Jordan's case, the world. All right? Like him or not, and his rough past, Tiger Woods, same way. Tiger Woods. How many golfers do you know, besides Jack Nicklaus and Arnold Palmer, that has won so many championships? You can't. Okay? Who else? What other sport can you think of? How about NASCAR? Anybody got any NASCAR fans here?
Oh, what's the guy that passed away?
Dale Earnhardt, okay? Richard Petty. Those two guys, 7, 8 World Cup championships or whatever. We won't talk about the others. Anyway, what the name of another sport? Huh?
Tennis.
What about tennis? Who is a world-known tennis? Serena and Venus, right? Who's won more?
Serena.
Even though she acted like a child in the last, that was really not becoming. Okay? But she is a great athlete.
You talking about when she flipped out?
Yeah, that was kind of
I still don't understand.
You know, you make $75 million a year. You're gonna.
Why did she do that again?
The coach was like coaching her from the side, and they tried to put up points.
Anyway, we're not going to talk about that. I'm not going to take away that she's one of the greatest ones ever, probably the greatest, because she's won more championships. Outliers. You got to distinguish between what's normal, what's unusual, and what's an outlier. Zipper, don't start that. Okay, don't start those zippers. I've got like 10 minutes. 9:25. All right. So the next question was, when do we do a pie chart? Well, in this case, you would do a pie chart with the relative frequency. What's the relative frequency? The relative frequency is taken off of your what? Your frequency. That's why it's called relative frequency. So let's do the relative frequency. Just for you, relative frequency, I'm just going to do a little table right here. The relative frequency is going to be 5 over 56. And what? 10 over 56. All the way down to what? 6 over 56. And what's 5 over 56? Somebody give me 2 decimal places. 0.09, which is 9 what? Percent. And what's 10 over 56?
0.18.
0.18. So that's 18%. And somebody do 6 over 56.
10%.
I'm sorry, what?
10%.
10%. And then you would draw a pie graph of those percentages. And you would label it 9%, you would draw 9% of, then it would be an estimate. 9%, and you would put 10 to 19. See? But I don't ever ask you to create a pie chart. I always ask you to read a pie chart because I think it's more important to read it. Because if you ever take another statistics class, they're going to get into all that. This is just intro. This ain't, I'm going to be a statistician when I get out of class. Okay? Now, this is one problem, but it's probably about 2 sections of work, 2 sections of material, because I've shown you how to do everything with a frequency distribution or a frequency table, all right? So this is like 3.3, I think, or 3.4. It's one of those 2 sections. And so that means, what do we go to? Look at our outline. This is what we go through this because I'm teaching y'all how to do this. What does the outline say? 3.5. So we're getting close to what? What's going to happen? This is what's going to happen. When I get to 3.5, I'm going to finish. And I'm going to say, okay, we just finished. Time for a test. And if it's at the beginning of class, we'll go through and look at the test. Okay? That usually don't happen. Okay? Usually what I do is I go over some questions. I pull up some homework questions. And then I say, okay, the next class, we're going to answer homework questions, and we're going to pull up the test. Next class rolls around. Okay? I go over homework questions. I pull up your email homework questions. We go over those. And then I usually spend 30 to 45 minutes. Those of you with zipper problems, go ahead and you can do your zippers now, okay? Because y'all about to have some kind of cardio infarction. Okay? I don't want you to have a cardio infarction. So I'm giving you permission to do your zippers now. Okay, now, we go over the test, and then what will I say after I go over the test? Well, today is the 15th. Today is not the 15th. I'm just using that as an expression so one person won't go home and say, did you assign the test today? Oh, I thought you signed on the 15th. Today's not the 15th. People need to take a pill. All right? I'll say, okay, today's the 15th. 7 days from the 15th is what? The 22nd? So I'll end it on the 22nd, and I'll do it on the computer. You'll see it. And then I'll say, okay, today's 15th, so I'm going to stop the homework. The next time we meet is what day? The 18th or whatever. I'll say what time we meet. And then I'll cut it off midnight of the next day we meet. That gives you another what? A couple of days to get the homework what? Finished. So every day that I assign, y'all see it in class. Why? Because if you're absent, you can find it on what? The video. If you're in class, then you know the what? So if you email me, are you going to get a response? No, you're not. Okay? I know, I'm a bastard. All right. What else? Any other questions? No other questions? Okay. Well, I'm going to count y'all here because it's been 2 or 3 weeks, and I'm not. If you stayed with me for 2 or 3 weeks, then you need to keep coming. All right. I'm going to go ahead and end. If anybody's got any questions, see me after class. Y'all have a good day, and I'll try to figure out some way to repay y'all. I'll figure something out.